Hi everyone, hope you're doing well from wherever you're watching this channel, depending on your time zone. Now, BBC Africa, with their media house or station in this country, they are doing more work than what DCI and IPOA are doing. That is the truth if you go by the latest documentary on Blood Parliament that has been released. You will ask so many questions. People died. Like, for example, when Gen Zs protested, 3 youth were killed at the Parliament building. To date, the names of the killer is not yet released. But we know David Chege, Eric Mutisa, Eric Shieni, they were killed. BBC has released a documentary explaining and exposing what really happened on the ground.
We've analysed over 5,000 photos and videos shot on the ground that day. We've determined when each was shot, using camera metadata, live stream timings, and public clocks visible in the shots. And we've plotted where they were shot on a 3D reconstruction of the site, giving us a second-by-second, 360-degree view of what happened next. We left the protest at 20 minutes past 2, with police in full...
With this documentary, the most alarming and worrying thing is that KDF officers were used in this protest, and it is for the first time KDF officers turned firearm on civilian, something that has never happened, something that is not part of the tradition of our KDF officers in this country, but it happened. The man in uniform, holding a gun, turned on civilian. He was a KDF officer, as if this was an external threat. The guy who was targeted was even running away. But the sad thing is that there is a member of parliament who is now threatening and calling for withdrawal or banning of BBC license to operate in this country. But the fact remains that BBC shared information that should be used by those in authority to find out really what happened. Was it fair or worthy for the Kenyans who were killed during the Gen Z protest?
Huyu ni Eric. Anajikuta katika vurugu za umati wa watu akitoka nje ya bunge la Kenya. Amefika katika lango la kutokea, lakini Eric Shieni hakufanikiwa kurudi nyumbani. Alikuwa na umri wa miaka 27 akisoma chuo kikuu Nairobi. Tarehe 25 Juni alijiunga na maelfu ya Wakenya waliokuwa wakiandamana kupinga mswada wa fedha wa mwaka 2024. Walilenga kuvamia bunge ili kuuzuia mswada huo kuwa sheria. Lakini njiani walikutana na mabomu ya kutoa machozi, virungu na hata risasi. Eric alikuwa miongoni mwa takribani watu 3 waliopigwa risasi na kuuawa katika bunge la Kenya. Kabla ya Eric kupigwa risasi, mtu mwenye silaha anaonekana. Sekunde moja kabla ya tukio hili kunaswa, milio ya risasi inasikika na mwili wa Eric unaanguka chini. Ingawa hatuuoni uso wake, mavazi yake yanabainisha. Tulilinganisha sifa hizo na picha zaidi ya 150 zilizochukuliwa katika eneo la tukio ndani ya dakika 10 tangu kupigwa risasi. Ni mwanaume mmoja tu aliyefanana naye. Maafisa wakuu kadhaa katika jeshi la ulinzi la Kenya walithibitisha kwamba mavazi yake ni ya jeshi la Kenya, kikosi ambacho kwa kawaida hakitambuliki kutumia nguvu au silaha dhidi ya raia. Jeshi la ulinzi Kenya liliambia BBC kuwa mamlaka inayochunguza haijawasilisha ombi lolote la kuchunguza yoyote kati ya wanajeshi wake na litaendelea kujitolea kutekeleza sheria.
Now, I want us to look into what was tweeted by Peter Kaluma, the Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament, as far as the BBC documentary is concerned. He is in total disagreement and is suggesting otherwise, withdrawal of the license so that BBC cannot operate here. I think it means a lot. But before we go deep into that discussion, I have a quick request. For those who are watching this channel and you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. To our returning subscribers, I must say thank you so much. And again, to all our viewers, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and back to our discussion. Now, this is what was posted by Honorable George Peter Kaluma. Ban BBC Africa. He even tagged them. Ban BBC Africa in Kenya. The role played by the media in any democracy is too important to be discharged irresponsibly. The media can build great democracy or destroy any otherwise stable state. Lest we forget, Rwanda genocide would have not occurred were it not for the reckless media. Blood Parliament is even quoting the headline. Of course, when he says this, we also remember during 2007 general election, post-election violence, watu kama sang, walikuwa kwa media house, what they were pushing for. It's different from what BBC is doing here. So, even if you want to try and convince, bring the discussion about Rwanda and what the media played, it's completely different. A documentary by BBC Africa is twisted, partial, reckless, and intended to incite chaos in Kenya. I don't know why there's incitement. When you point out exactly the officer who shoot at innocent Kenyan and the person who was shot by that KDF officer, how does it become an incitement? The relevant agencies of the government of Kenya must act fast to withdraw BBC Africa license in Kenya. That is now the threat. That documentary is an incitement, and therefore the authorities must act quickly and withdraw their license. If what Peter Kaluma is saying can be actualized, then that poses as a huge threat to the media houses in this country, including the local media house. What was Citizen, KTN, KBC ni yao, NTV, you can name them, radio, they are at a great risk if what he is suggesting can be actualized. Peter Kaluma is from ODM. But what he's supporting here is dangerous. In fact, his post is reckless for that matter. And therefore it should be discouraged. If BBC has done a mistake, we have court of law. Why is he not suggesting to take the matter to the court? Even as an individual, he can proceed to the court so that if they are found guilty, then this matter can be prosecuted and justice served. Why is he rushing to say that their license should be revoked? In fact, they will be in court if you revoke their license to challenge that move. When you want to know if people want to bring the dictatorship. Uangalie mambo kama ya Peter Kaluma. Una avoid koti, unasema mambo ya revoke. How? Power has entered some people, and ODM allies are behaving like so much reckless. They behave as if, they are begging to be with William Ruto. Peter Kaluma is standing too low. If this is the spirit of ODM party, if this is their agenda, then ODM has no business gaining support across the country. The ODM we knew some time back, and the current settlement we are getting from people from ODM, it should be alarming. It should tell you that we have no business to associate ourselves with ODM if this is what they stand for. We have seen Raila Odinga leading several protests in this country. ODM has been calling out the police brutality and all that. Today, BBC Africa is exposing what really happened. Peter Kaluma is uncomfortable with that. We are talking about investigative agencies, IPOA, DCI. They cannot expose this because it is now touching on one of their own, exposing one another. So this tells you that the order was from State House, shoot to kill. That's the appointing authority. It confirms. Why is IPOA not investigating this matter to conclusion? Why DCI is not taking up his role to do investigation? Now, when a media house does that, it becomes a thorn in the flesh. Watu kama Peter Kaluma ndio wanatafuta contract kwa serikali, ndio wanafanya corruption. Kwa hivyo hawataki kusumbuliwa na serikali wakifanya corruption, so you must behave like defensive to this regime so that you become their friend. It should be very clear in people's minds. Such leaders must be rejected. Kama ni hawa wanatuongoza, they are busy. Kuna maneno na sitaki kuyatumia.